Welcome, everybody, to our latest episode of the Old School Cannabis Project. It's been a little while, but it's nice to be back, joined by co host Rich and special guest today, all the way from Canada. We are joined by Derek. Welcome to the show, Derek.
Hey, well, thanks very much for wanting to have me on to talk about your beans, man.
Well, to be honest, bro, I've been wanting to do it for ages, but we've just finally got back to restarting recording more regularly. And yeah, I guess everything happens when it's meant to. So yeah,
Exactly.
I've been a bit less enthusiastic about everything lately, but today I'm a bit more reinvigorated and yeah, looking forward to having a nice chat about the genetics that you've grown from my packs. So thank you for buying the seeds, growing them, and you are Spruce Tips, I believe, on Instagram if anyone wants to check you out.
Yeah, you got it, man. Yeah, I was just out back. I'm just clearing some trees off the hillside out back. I finally got my medical document back from the government after 8 months, so I can increase the volume that I'm allowed to grow at home for medical. So I've just been trying to decide where I'm going to place things systematically. So that's just what I've been working on now while the weather's been all right.
And how much are they kindly granting you permission to grow at your home?
Well, I could either grow 110 plants inside, or I can grow just upwards of 30 out. So
Okay, not bad.
It's quite
no, I
nice.
mean, yeah, no complaints whatsoever. I mean,
Yeah.
it was either or, so you can't do things simultaneously. So I'd rather, have the option of starting things inside and then moving everything out when they need to go out, sort of thing. So I'm just
Okay. So they don't
yeah.
let you grow, they don't let you grow indoors and outdoors at the same time.
No, based on the document, you have to choose either one. I think they're
Okay.
just, afraid that you might overstep in one way or another. So
Yeah.
given as long as it took to get things back in terms of my reapproval, I just thought, you better follow things to the T with the government.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least you could do something, you know. We're still fucked over here in the UK. Can't grow anything. Not anything legally, whether you've got a medical reason or there's just no growing over here at the moment, legally. Which is a load of bullshit. And it probably is going to continue that way, I would have thought.
Yeah,
But anyway,
they're probably
fuck
gonna
that.
take the states route of you're forced to buy from dispensaries, which is disgusting.
I don't even know if I don't even know if they'll ever actually have people just being able to purchase recreational over here. There's a big drive for the medical side of things. People can get prescriptions a lot more easily now, and I think that's going to open up a lot more in the future. But it's never going to be true freedom like we should have, which is
I'm
absolutely no
sure that
regulation.
once they, like Canada, once they figure out the best way to regulate it and taxate it to get the most out of the legislation, then I'm pretty sure that somebody's going to have to follow suit here, because I mean the way that the government has been making the money in terms of the excise taxes, not only from the growers but from the retailers,
Yeah.
that are paying tax when they're buying it, and then they're paying more tax when they're selling it while the government's collecting it. So, I mean, I think eventually, well, hopefully, I mean, I know that the UK is pretty archaic in terms of their statutes, but hopefully, I mean, geez, if Germany can come around, man, I'm sure
Yeah.
the Brits can do that too.
Maybe we'll see. But anyway, fuck the governments. I've never grown a legal plant yet, and I'm not sure if I care to or will do, or who knows. Just do what I fucking want, really, with regards to that. As long as I'm not hurting anybody else,
Yeah.
it's a law that's good to ignore. But yeah, man. So over where you are last year, you popped a bunch of my seeds, and tell us what you found, bro.
Well, I mean, yeah, the year prior was the first year I grew them, because one of my one of my customers at the shop, my old shop, I got him to purchase your beans through the one company that was selling them. I can't remember who it was, but anyways, I had a handful of the Phenohunters pack. So 2 years ago, and then I bought some of your Terptown tickets to begin my relationship with you, and then I bought that parcel from you in the fall a couple of years or a year ago, I think. So
Yeah.
what I found so far is a cornucopia, man. Like even the skunk haze that I grew, just the different phenos in the skunk haze, and they could just be sitting side by each. I mean, in terms of the variation, in terms of the terps, the smell, like, I mean, you know, and just the way that things change. It's almost like the plants themselves, what you smell through the various stages of growth, whether it's, you know, early veg or late veg into flower, and then, you know, from flower to dry to cure. I mean, I would suggest to you that the plants that I grew probably changed, you know, in terms of the aroma and the nose. Probably it seemed like 5 to 6 times last season, which was absolutely crazy. I mean, you know, things would start off with you know, some sort of like, you know, whether it would be the pledgy lemon pledgy skunk, and then transition over to more of a tropical fruit. And then, you know, like some of them finished in the jars, like, you know, it almost smelled like a Montreal smoked meat. So it was just a wide array. And I mean, it's the nice thing about it as well is that you don't know what you're going to get. So just to see these plants develop in terms of the growth, and to see, you know, the physical characteristics and the greens that they want to, you know, carry with them, if they're more on the skunk side of the varietals, or whether they're leaning more to the haze. It's just I think, you know, like for me, like, I mean, I'm just you know, just I do this for fun. It's not like I'm a scientific guy at all. So it's just getting my hands dirty and just you know, enjoying the fact that your genetics have been easy enough for somebody that you know, is not the season grower, or user friendly. Because I mean, I haven't, in terms of what I popped in the past from, like, say, Humboldt Seed, or you know, some of these other seed companies, you know, to see basically if I put down, say, 40 on average, like, I mean, you know, success rate in terms of germination within, you know, 48 hours to like inch long tails has been, you know, at least 85 to 90%. That what I've experienced. I mean, I think I've only had, you know, one batch that I've dropped that I haven't had that sort of success rate. But I mean, you just chalk it up to, you know, maybe I wasn't holding my nose the right way when I put them in the paper cloth, you know, the towel. So, but I mean, it's just been nice because, like I said, it is such a varying degree, and the change has just been so interesting to me to watch, because I don't think genetically most plants typically would change, you know, 4 to 5 to 6 times in terms of the way that the terps are, you know, maturing on that plant. So it's just been interesting.
Now they're very, you're right, it's a very interesting set of genetics to grow. It's very distinct and unique to anything else that's available today. And the ones you've been growing, just so people listening know, it's like predominantly like I said a huge bunch of the Phenohunters and some Boss Pack, but the Phenohunters was like a mix of seeds which came from around 60 different mothers, different hazes, skunks, skunk hazes, and blueberries, and anything else that was hard to define. I just call heirlooms because it all comes from old timer ones genetics from the 60s to the 90s. And yeah, what you say about the terps changing, it is interesting. You know, I don't think I've seen it quite change 5 or 6 times, but I definitely don't doubt it. But I've seen them changing, as you say, through the growth, through veg into flower. I've seen them even change from morning to afternoon. I remember clearly a lemon skunk I had, which would be lemon in the morning and it smelled like skunk in the evening outdoors, you know. And
Oh,
next morning it would smell like lemon again, and then later in the afternoon it would smell like skunk again. And also I've seen the rankest, nastiest skunk ever. Like I think it was a male, the one I'm thinking of. Really, 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 really pungent, potent skunk all through veg. And then when it went into flower, just completely changed to zero skunk, none whatsoever, and just really nice haze. So I've
Yeah.
definitely seen them change. And also, as you say, changing it after harvest, like that lemon skunk. If you cut it and it was lemon predominantly the day you harvested. I've seen that 48 hours on the line drying become the rankest, nastiest skunk ever. But generally, people obviously need to find the one that keeps the smell after harvest and drying, you know. And I've also found that I found skunks that smell identical, same 1 year later after drying, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just finding what suits you, you know, what you're looking for.
Well, I mean, I haven't, anything that I've smoked. Like, I mean, I only grew like a handful last year, right? I mean, plus the skunk haze, but the ones on the patio and pots, like, I mean, there was probably, I had, at least five, and each of the five plants were like different plants in the way that they presented themselves. It was crazy. Like, I mean, but you could see the ones, like I said, that were more on the skunk varietal, the deeper, darker greens, and the way that just the coloration and the hairs, and the way that the others grew more like hazes with fewer leaves, and just like sativa type you know genetics. So it was yeah, it's
That's
just
why I made that pack. I made that pack, well, two reasons. One, when I was actually making all the final selections of what I would keep seeds from myself that year, I kind of kept the seeds from the 5 skunks that made up the boss pack. Because basically, every plant in the polytunnel, every female was pollinated by the same male. I selected one. It's like, it's good to tell this as well, because a lot of people say, oh, it's an open pollination, which it fucking wasn't. It was a large, targeted, selected pollination. So it was outside, outdoors, in 2 polytunnels. I selected all the females, and I kept one male. I selected him from quite a bunch. It wasn't like he was just the only male, obviously, but he was a selected male, very classic skunk male, very Christmas tree, very deep dark pine green leaves. I called it like a plain skunk, a classic skunk. There's no particular like ammonia or so much, or burnt rub or anything like that. It's just a plain animal skunk smell, you know. Um,
right,
and yeah, he had very nice flowers, and he did a great job because I've seen his traits pass through on a lot. And so he pollinated all these 60 different females that I had, different skunks, I say, different hazes, some fruity ones. And so yeah, I kept the 5 plants separate that was going to go into like my skunk pack, which was the boss pack. And then I was left with like these 60 other plants, which are all amazing in their own way, or certainly unique. Every single plant had a unique attribute or characteristic that was just not evident or found commonly in the modern gene pool, if at all. And I was just like, well, I've got all these plants. I know everybody wants just skunk, but this is just way too valuable and not to give to the community, you know. So I put all the seeds from those 60 other plants in one big container, and that was essentially the Phenohunters pack, you know, and the Turptown Tickets
right,
pack.
yeah,
So, oh, I remember you mentioned the lemon pledge at the start. That lemon pledge was actually it's a really nice Turp profile, and it was actually old timer one's favorite. He said that was his favorite Turp profile was the lemon pledge, like the furniture polish smell. And I do think that comes from my first original male selection, which was like that lemon pledge, but with like turpentine. It was more like on the paint thinner side of things as well. But
right.
I like that tip profile too. It's quite common in the
Well,
pack.
it's beautiful, and it helps clean your nostrils out too in the morning when you're giving a good rub.
Yeah. Have you come across anything yet like a Vicks vapor rub? Because you'll find that in, well, I reckon you would find it in all the seeds you bought, certainly from the Phenohunters pack.
I haven't, nothing too much in the way of mentholative. It was more a lot of fruit, and then just deep dark dank. Like, I mean, the skunk haze, like, I mean, the way that they were like a leathery berry when they were growing. And they finished like almost like a fermented like blueberry, like just a very deep dank blueberry, just delightful. And I mean, the smoke itself and the experience, like, I had one of the the one of the plants tested while I was working at the hemp farm, and I mean, just a tiny bud, and it was just off of one of the hazes, and I mean, it only tested at like 14% THC, but I mean, that was like something that, like, it was, I could buy a haze at the local dispensary, and I would much rather choose what it was at that 14% than somebody was, growing at, say, 25 or 27 if you're chasing your THCs, right? I mean,
well, there's two things about that. One, the dispensary test results are highly unreliable in most cases, and two,
right,
yeah, it's such a shame that because it's the assholes at the dispensary. You've just made me really realize that, because a lot of these dickheads at dispensaries, they've got this, oh, we don't take anything under 20% THC rule. Well, if you're
right,
doing that, then the customer is missing out on so much more, because, as you say, that this is one area that we've talked about like repeatedly on this podcast, where people, especially the younger people, need serious education on, because high THC, one, we've proven many times, and we've had guests on who have like tested labs against true lab results, so labs
right,
just lie, the labs lie, the labs will take money in order to boost your results. People sending Kifrol, but all that testing is bullshit. The THC percentage is bullshit anyway, generally, as in it's actually fictitious in most cases. And second of all,
right,
high THC, when it is actually high THC, it doesn't give that rounded, complex body and mind, beautiful highs that the lower THC varieties that have other cannabinoids, broad spectrum of cannabinoids and terpenes all in one package, delivers.
right, yeah.
And as you say, that word you use, delightful, that is so true. Like, my stuff generally produces happiness, joyful, delighted feelings. It's not like modern cannabis, and there's too many people listening, or just too many people in general, the consumer, they just don't know that these kind of highs exist. They've just never had
Well,
access.
no, sorry to interrupt you, but I was going to say, and the nice thing about growing like the varieties that I had is that I could, smoke those plants to see what it was that, was going to work best for me, for my daytime medicine, and, what I was going to use at night when I felt more like, being a little bit more relaxed than, ready to go on the haze side of things. So that was a joy as well, just to, the getting to, taste your wares to see which way they were leaning. So that was nice. Sorry to interrupt you.
No problem, man. Yeah, well, more recently now, the seeds I've just the second season, as it were, because I've been selling those seeds, the S lines first, the Boss pack, the Terpene tickets, the Pheno Hunters, all of those since 2020. And then last year I made a new set of selections, and a lot of them are things that can be found or similar, could have been found in the Terpene tickets and the Pheno Hunters. Like I mentioned, that eucalyptus one, the Vicks Vapor Rub one. So
Yeah.
this year I've kind of kept separate the seeds from the mothers, displaying like extreme eucalyptus, extreme like Vicks Vapor Rub, which literally smell the flowers, it clears your sinuses. I think that makes some phenomenal extracts for people that have got that vape for breathing conditions.
Right.
and it was the eucalyptus skunk was just that. It was just so medical and kind of just just. I think when it gets tested, it'll show high anti-inflammatory properties, stuff like that. Pain relieving
Right.
and opening up the airways. So, and the rotten berry that you mentioned too, there's a lot of blueberry in my packs and old timer
Yeah.
ones because the original starting points were the ESB haze and the lot 5. And ESB haze, the B part of it was blueberry. It was a Nigerian cross skunk, cross blueberry. And then later that got crossed to haze to make ESB haze. But the original blueberry component of it was Old Timer One and Vic High's work on DJ Short's blueberry, which was quite prone to hermaphroditic traits, and they tried their best to work that out through a breeding program. And yeah, that blueberry is super nice. And there's a few different blueberries that you can find. For example, that Turptown Tickets one, you might find just pure blueberry, just like the fruit, as if you were smelling blueberries. There's like a candy blueberry, like as if it was a candy type blueberry. There's blueberries and cream. There's a blueberry that goes more to the strawberry side as well, but it's related to the blueberry. It stems from the blueberry. And there's like a strawberry and cream too. But there's that rotten berry as well. I've got a variety out now called the Rotten Berry Skunk Smile. And yeah, just rotten berries, as you say. And Smile, that is one of Old Timer One's creations, and it just had an absolutely beautiful high. That's why it's called Smile. Just made everybody happy. Literally, you smoke it, and it's like an antidepressant. People called it Prozac in a seed, all that kind of thing. But yeah, last year, I found a lot of plants exhibiting the Smile terp profile, which I was really happy about. So
Right.
I just took that as a sign and I went with it, and I kept those. And I've got the Star 23, which is the most closest thing in terms of the original Smile that Old Timer One released that I've got. And I've got the Rottenberry Skunk Smile, which started off very similar to Smile, but took on this berry and like a really raunchy skunk, really nice, that teeth tingling type skunk over the top of it. So it's like almost an improved Smile, really. And also another plant called Tropical Fruit Smile, which has got the Smile terps, but also developed really, really beautiful, juicy tropical fruits on top of it as well. So
Nice.
I've got those three varieties: Star 23, Tropical Fruit Smile, and Skunk Rottenberry Skunk Smile, in like the Smile direction of Old Timer One's work. And I kept a couple of eucalyptus type lines as well last year, and skunk haze, a really nice skunk dominant version of skunk haze I kept, which attracted all kinds of unusual bugs, not like spider mites or things that damage the plants or feed off the plant. They just seem to be attracted by the terps and live in the plants. It was really
Yeah.
fucking inundated by these weird little bugs that I've never seen before, like beetle type bugs almost, or strange little fucking insects. Got no idea what they were. But this plant absolutely just drew all these fucking insects to it, whereas like other plants around didn't.
That's one thing I will say is that your plants, the flies loved your flowers. Like, I mean, the plants. Didn't matter if
Yeah,
they were the ones in the garden or the ones in the pots, but I mean, the flies just absolutely love them, even if
yeah,
they
the
didn't
house
smell like
flies.
shit.
Yeah. The house flies, the meat flies, the blue bottles, those type of flies are definitely
Yeah.
attracted to my plants, yeah, because they've got that it's like cadaverine, I think. Cadaverine, another kind of uh what's the word, from chemicals, I guess, I don't know, that attract the meat flies, yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
common. But some of the dog shit ones as well, I guess, would do that. Did you found any dog shit varieties yet?
I stem rubs on like 3 months in on the plants last year, but then again they changed.
Yeah.
So like that's why I'm like I don't know how it goes from dog shit on my fingers to, you know, smelling like lemon to coming out like dead berries. So
Yeah,
whatever.
that is a big change. That is a really
Yeah.
big change. You know, I've not really seen that so much myself. Like I said, I've seen it
Hey,
vacillate between lemon and skunk. I've seen it go between skunk and haze. I've not really seen it go from like something foul to something fruit.
oh no, I mean the amount of times that I, you know, would come in from the patio and ask my wife to smell my fingers, and she, Derek, come on, like again, like you know. So yeah, it was crazy. So I mean, it's just yeah, that genetically just you know, different from anything that I've seen so far.
Yeah, well, I don't like the dog shit ones anyway. I don't really like any of the shitty kind of ones because there's like distinct difference in the shits. There's like animal shit, like dog shit. People have said badger shit. Somebody who knows about badgers. Um, there's like baby shit, like a shitty diaper. There's like kind
Yeah.
of gross adult human shit. I just don't particularly like any of those kind of fecal dominated profiles, you know.
No, that doesn't sound up my alley either. So I'm
And
lucky.
there's one, sorry to interrupt, there's one because it just popped in my head. There's one, and like when the flavor translates from the smell, that is disgusting, man. I remember growing one plant and it smelled like shit. And when you smoked the flower, it was unsmokable because obviously I've never had shit in my mouth, but I
Yeah.
imagine that is what shit in your mouth tastes like. You know, it tasted like it smelled absolutely gross and unsmokable. Half a joint and never smoked it again.
Don't blame you.
So I would personally deselect against any of those I find in future. But yeah, I've tried just to give people like more options than just skunk with my latest breeding project last year. But
No, and it looks as though you've got a nice a variety, and I mean more on the haze side of things. I mean, but
yeah,
I
I,
mean,
I got some nice lime hazes. I've got a
yeah,
really interesting haze that is just like lemongrass and cilantro. Do you call it cilantro in Canada?
yeah,
Yeah, we call it coriander over here, but you guys and the Americans call it cilantro. It's like
yeah.
fresh cilantro, lemongrass, and haze. It's really, really nice. I found a cat piss haze as well, a
All right.
lime haze. What else did I find in the hazes? There's a blueberry haze, blueberry skunk haze. So yeah, that's what I tried to just kind of give people some more options, sort of like in distinct lines this year. Some people say they haven't got the space or the time to hunt through, mixed varieties. But I think
Yeah,
I think people should make the effort to, because for me, all the times I was growing before I was breeding, I always did like multi-strain runs. I never monocropped. I was always, for me, wanting to experience the most range of cannabis that exists. So I started growing things like Malawi Gold because when would I ever get true Malawi Gold in the UK? That kind of thing.
right.
So yeah, for me, I always wanted to experience a range. And where I had all these seeds from 60 different plants, I just thought, fuck it. I'll make a pack containing a random mix of all of them and just give people that opportunity to get a wide experience of things that they're never going to come across anywhere else either. Because Old Timer One kept it also to himself for all those decades, pretty much.
Well, exactly. And I mean, anybody who listen to me want to talk about seeds, like I probably, you know, I gifted out quite a few babies into the southwestern Ontario last year to, you know, share with other people just to give them a chance to try. So, I mean, just
Well,
sharing the
that's the
wealth.
other thing as well, trying to spread the genes as far as possible to as many people as possible.
Well, I mean, it's all about the plant. I mean, the plant's all about sharing. So, I mean, whether it's seeds or dried cannabis or anything like that, it's all about sharing and community anyways. So
So are you growing what are you going to grow this year with now you've got your new licensing?
I've got uh, I've got a raft of basically the Turptown tickets down. So 2 trays right now.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have they've only been maybe 5 days, so they're just all popping up. And I've got some that are actually a couple of weeks older. So yeah, it's gonna be a cornucopia. So I'll have some some photographs coming, but I don't really like to shell out too much of what I'm doing
Yeah.
online, right?
Sure, man. But I'm always keen for content. So if you ever got any
Yeah.
pictures you want to send my way, I can post them on your behalf. Or just want to send like one plant pictures instead of like all your plants in one picture, that kind of thing, whatever, man.
Yeah, of course. No, by all rights. I mean, I'll share like, and again, so I mean, I've got a nice array that's going to come up, so I'll be able to pick and choose. You know, I've got a few months here to weed out weed out the bad ones and pick out the goods. So the way that they're growing and what I want to see out there. So I mean,
Yeah.
it'll be fun. So
So it's
yeah, just
nice if
another.
you so it's nice if you can run through them indoors and pick the winners and then put them outdoors. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's where things are at. I mean, it seems as though season wise we're, you know, 3 weeks ahead again here in Canada from where we were last year this time. Because I mean, spring was early last year, but this year it's definitely 3 weeks earlier. So I mean, we're you know, trending in the right direction. So you know, geez, babies will go down in May probably.
Yeah, it's nice salads. It's nice to get them out in May. So how did they handle your climate, your environment?
Well, I mean, it was interesting because they were early flower this year too. I found this past season. Like, I mean, again, they were like everything seemed to be 3 weeks earlier. So I mean, they were fine. I mean, I had no issues in terms of you know, pests or mold. I mean, if anything, the plant the bugs just wanted to be with the plants. I mean, whether I had like I was telling about all those flies or whether I had praying mantis that were hanging out
Mhm.
in them. But yeah, I mean, like no complaints. I mean, you know, it's I don't need to grow monsters. It's more about just, you know, watching things just grow in the way that they want to. And I mean, I'm not, you know, topping and training and doing this and doing that with these things. I'm just like, hey, let's see where things go. So that's pretty much, you know, like I said, yours are like from what I experience, it's like, you know, pop the seeds, put them in dirt and just water them and just watch things evolve. I mean, I don't do too much in the way of feeding. It's just more living soil and, you know, some water and that's about it. So,
Well, they do love soil. They love being outdoors. They do grow quite rapidly and vigorously on their own. They're not kind of
yeah.
too fussy. Yeah, I think they pretty much grow themselves generally.
Yeah, that's why I'm just looking at this hillside I've got out back that I'm working on clearing up right now because I think it would be a nice area to put in some bench gardens and probably get some self irrigating with the runoff from the hillside. So I'm just you know, working on trying to give them the best environment that I can.
And what was your favorite thing that you found last year?
Favorite?
Hmm.
Um, I think just more on the haze side. I mean, just the nice like I mean, I'm a big amnesia haze guy. Like that would be my my daytime jam. So anything haze is just good to me. So like I mean, I just you know I lucked out that a couple of them were just nice fruity hazes. Like and just you know good daytime buzz and you know smoke a half gram joint in the morning and you know you don't even have to smoke that entire half-gram joint. I could put it out and you know relight it and be satisfied. And I mean
Yeah.
that I think in itself has just been is nice because I find that you know like in the legal market, having owned you know stores, I've smoked my fair share of you know licensed producer weed. So um, yeah, like when you speak to cookies and hybrids and all this and all that, I mean, I've you know been there, done that. So to see like the old school coming back and the you know throwback to the way that genetics should be and the unbastardized characteristics of the flower. I mean, that's I think what you know has more gravitated me towards your gear and the way that you've done things is that it's just you know unbastardized. That's the way I like to look at it. So it's just a cornucopia of fucking goodness every time you put a handful down. So that to me is the way that cannabis growing should be, right? So
Yeah, I'm very lucky to have been able to obtain this gene pool and to work with it and to enlarge it and to kind of spread it around, you know.
Yeah,
It's yeah, it's a breath of fresh air, literally, you know, because everything had become so stagnated, so kind of mono. Everything was the same and or derivative of itself. It was like last week's hype across to this week's hype to make next week's hype. It was just a load of bullshit. And thankfully, there is a fresh injection of entirely, unrelated genetics from last century available for people to breed with and to kind of reintroduce what's been lost again, the vigor, the pest resistance. Another thing, these plants are very drought resistant, drought tolerant. They go long periods without being watered and handle it, much better than a lot of modern genetics. So yeah, it's just nice to have. It was needed. It was timely. I think. I think things had almost fucking come to the end of the road, really. In the last 5 years, in terms of just new stuff. Like, it makes me laugh when you see people on Instagram saying, "Oh, we've got our new this, that, and the other," and
right.
it's not new. It's like a new cookies cross or something. That's not new.
No, exactly. And I mean, it seems as though that's, well, I mean, it's like all about dessert strains right now, right? When you're working your way out of, the gelatos and the wedding cakes and the cakes and the ice cream and fucking this and that and all that, right? So it's just like, okay, what's the new varietal? Which way are
Exactly. And where's it coming from?
yeah, well,
Where's
that's
anything
it.
new coming from? Because people aren't getting on a plane anymore and going and traveling anywhere. It's like,
Right.
so
Or they're too afraid to try something new because, it just might take too long if they figure that, if they want to run, 3 cycles a year to try to maximize their profits. I mean, if they, looked at trying to, do something different in terms of a haze. I mean, the resin production to a haze flower compared to others, and yeah, it sure might take longer, but I mean, in terms of the weight and the gold that you're going to get at the end of the journey will be far superior than another Kush varietal.
well, Rich is going to have to send us a new link, Derek, because we're about to cut out in a few seconds.
Okay.
I think he must be listening in the background, but it's been saying less than a minute for nearly a minute now. So I think we're going to cut out. So Rich will send us a new link, and we can pick up where we left off.
All right.
Yo, Rich, you there? So you can edit this bit out. Don't worry, later he'll edit this bit out. But it's going to cut off any
Yeah.
minute, so he should be in the background listening. I don't know. Okay, Rich. So yes, been great talking to you, Derek. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate all your past support as well and your ongoing support. Really looking forward to seeing your 2024 season and what the Terpene tickets, the Pheno Hunters mix produces for you this year.
Yeah.
And hope you'll come on again and tell us exactly what you find. So if you've got anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up today, I'd just like to again thank you for coming on and welcome back anytime. And I'll leave
Yeah, I
it with
just
you.
wanted to just say thank you very much for having me. I appreciate you reaching out. Sorry it's taken us so long to pull this together, but yeah, next time we get together, I'll have a photo library. And like you said, if people are following on Instagram, they can follow spruce_tips_ there to see what I'm up to here in
Watch your
southwestern
dancing, of
Ontario.
course.
What's that? And the
Watch your
dancing, yeah.
dancing, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Depending on the day for sure. So
You got to do that. It's worth following Spruce Tips just to watch the dancing alone.
well, I appreciate that.
It's a great
Thanks very
account, man.
much. All right.
All right, buddy. Thank you, man. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in on this episode. If anybody wants to come on a future episode, feel free to hit up myself or Rich at the OSC. What's your handle, Rich? on
OS
Instagram?
Cannabis Project.
OS Cannabis Project on Instagram. If you want to book yourself on to talk about your experience with the genetics or anything else. All right, fam, thanks for listening and catch you on the next one.